This episode of the Feelings Over Facts podcast is sponsored by our YouTube. Head over to youtube.com/Feelings Over Facts podcast and give us a subscribe and a like. Into the Feelings Over Facts podcast. I'm your host, Zach Simmons. Here with my co-host, Daniel Jones, a.k.a. DJ. DJ, how are you feeling?
Hungry.
Feeling good. We are back again for episode number 33. A wild card weekend last weekend. We got divisional round starting pretty much now. Literally now. So we wanted to go ahead and get into this wild card weekend recap, divisional round predictions, and a little bit of a little other section as well before the football weekend started. But first, DJ. Let's go ahead and see what missed the cut for today's show. Pacers trading for Mr. Pascal Siakam. Can't think of a more honestly meaningless NBA trade. A fringe all-star goes to a fringe contender. You know, it is what it is, I guess. And rumors. What else missed the show? Rumors floating around that Kyrie is wanting to force his way out of Dallas and go to team back up with Mr. LeBron James in LA. And finally, what missed today's cut? Girl Scout cookie season begins. Just right around the corner. They're starting up. So get your Girl Scout cookies at your local Girl Scout troop. All right, that is what missed the cut for today's show. DJ, let's hop right in. Before we do our recap of Wild Card Weekend and our predictions for Divisional Weekend, since our last podcast, we have had a couple of coaches leave their team. A couple that are close to home for you, sir. So as we saw, Mike Vrabel was let go by the Tennessee Titans, as well as Nick Saban has stepped down and retired as the Alabama head coach. So DJ, as a big Alabama fan and Tennessee Titans fan, I wanted to get your thoughts, hear your feelings on the direction of both teams after losing their leaders.
Well, for the Titans, I mean, I can't say that I'm shocked that we actually did it, but I'm not shocked that it came to this. And what I mean by that is that there were some rumors and some things that people were talking about it being just not like behind the scenes, that there was a rift in the organization for the Titans. And whatever that being, is it, what happened with J-Rob, what happened with, player acquisition or not listening to Vrabel's opinions on things, or when it comes to assistants, apparently that had something to do with it that Miss Amy Adams-Strunk did not like. He's gone. And don't get me wrong, everybody's talking about how good of a head coach Mike Vrabel is, and I don't think that I'm definitely not here disputing that. I'm definitely not here to point out a bunch of things that he didn't do, because he was great for us and he helped us get over that hump there for a little bit. But for me, the last 2 years are super telling that whatever was happening in our organization did not and has not worked. And for the end all be all, if you as an organization are wanting to make a change and be a Super Bowl contending team, now's the time to do it. Get a different voice, someone that's different. And now here's the thing: they have to be better than what we were going with Vrabel. If they make this change, if Vrabel goes on and let's say he for some reason he goes to like the Chargers and turns Justin Herbert into like a 3-time Super Bowl champion, then we messed up. Like that's a big old like, what are we doing? But if you really feel like this new direction was what the Titans organization needed, I can't fault Miss Amy Armstrong for doing what she did. It's her organization; she gets to do what she wants. Regardless, as a fan, if I like Mike Vrabel, which I did like Mike Vrabel, I don't hate it because sometimes change can be the best. That doesn't always mean you're going to like it immediately. That doesn't always mean that it's going to result immediate. It's not like an investment. It's not going to have an immediate return. So yeah. I think the next couple of years are going to be very telling to see how this team's going to be looking. I think as a fan base, the Titans are really hoping for an offensive coach, because why would we just fire a really good defensive coach and then go get another one? It wouldn't make much sense, but it'd also be the biggest Titans thing I've ever heard in my life.
For sure. I think I was telling you guys the other day that I say about 99% positive they're going to hire an offensive coach. Because why hire a defensive coach whenever you had one of the best ones already? I think Mike Vrabel is, if a team is looking to hire a defensive head coach right now in the NFL head coaching market, Mike Vrabel, other than Bill Belichick, is up there as the top one. So if they were going to go with another head coach and to be a defensive guy, I truly don't understand why they would do that. So I'm with you. I think that the organization wants to get an offensive minded guy in there. My feeling on it is the NFL head coaching job is unlike any other job. And it's a job that if you do not provide immediate success, no matter your resume, you will get fired. That's what we have seen. I mean, we saw Bill Belichick, 6-time Super Bowl winner, has a couple of down years without Tom Brady, and they're ready to move on from him. Well, what did Mike Vrabel? The Titans hadn't won the division in
2 years.
Well, before he won it with them. They hadn't won it in a long time. It was probably like 7 or 8 years, right, before he won it, if I want to say. And then he instilled a winning culture with the Titans and won the division in back-to-back years. And then he has back-to-back losing seasons, and they get rid of him. So that's kind of what the head coaching job is in the NFL, is you have to provide success or you will get let go.
Also, to the point, maybe this is also another thing that Mike Vrabel showed some weakness in. A lot of his acquisitions that were big-time keys for him were Mike Mularkey guys. Derrick Henry, Kevin Byard. Like, I'm not saying, like, people that they drafted under Vrabel's watch weren't good. Like, A.J. Brown. I mean, that whole draft class, Jeffrey Simmons, great players. But I think you have to realize that Mike Mularkey had this organization and the right character guys going ahead of time, and then you got a guy who's a leader of men, which is Mike Vrabel, 100% without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, you hear all his players talk about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a results business. 100% agree with you on that, saying that it is. What have you done for me lately? And the last 2 years, he just hadn't done it. Now, is that all his fault? I can't knowingly say that it is all his fault. It definitely isn't. 3 years of just bad drafting has really turned this team from a constant playoff team into we're drafting in the top 10 this year. So It's a huge results business. Obviously, we're turning over a new leaf, see what happens. But it's going to be interesting, and this offseason is massive. It's a massive offseason. So
for sure. Yeah, I'm really interested to see who they bring in as their next head coach.
If you want some people I want
to guess into the universe, DJ. Who's your guess for?
Okay.
Or let's say, who do you want it to be? Who do you want the next head
Okay,
coach of the Titans?
so I was we were literally saying the exact same thing at the exact same time. So I apologize for overlapping. I was literally to say, if you want to hear my top 3 candidates,
Let's
is
hear it.
Ben Johnson, but everybody wants Ben Johnson, so I highly doubt that he comes to Tennessee.
OC of the Lions.
OC of the Lions. Bobby Slowick, the OC of the Houston Texans.
Yep.
And then my last one is Brian Callahan, the OC of the Cincinnati Bengals. And if we don't go OC for some reason, we decide to be the Titans and go DC for God knows what reason, mainly probably just to piss off the fan base a little bit even more. I forgot his name, but the DC for the Lions, I'd be okay with him too.
Yeah.
So
the Lions have been, both of their coordinators look like they're going to have head coaching jobs come this next season, most likely.
The only thing that makes me worry,
the success that they've had under Dan Campbell.
The only thing that makes me worry about that is that the Lions' defense is not good, and statistically, they have not been good the last 2 years. So it's like, all right, so if we're bringing that defense in, what's going to happen? But
right,
it's not only just playing to the strength of what they're coordinating of. They have to be able to get good coordinators too, so that's important as well.
Definitely.
But yeah, and then on the Nick Saban front, I knew this day was going to happen eventually. Have we been spoiled as a fan base? Yes. But it wasn't too long ago that we were just the bottom feeders of the SEC. We were a very bad team in the early 2000s. So I don't think this is the end of the dynasty, because I do think that Bama can recruit itself in a way. Like, hey, you want to come play at Alabama? You want to come play big football games, big-time games? You're in the SEC. You're going to be on national television all the time. And I think Kalen DeBoer is a good hire. I like Kalen DeBoer. He was one of the people I wouldn't have minded. Now, let's be honest. I didn't have a favorite when it came to Alabama replacement for Nick Saban, because that's an unenvious task to follow the greatest head coach in college football history. And that is without a shadow of a doubt in my mind that he is the best football coach in college football history.
Certainly.
So
at least in our lifetime, for sure.
I don't think there's anybody that even I mean, the only person that might be able to come close to it at the end all be all might be Kirby Smart. He was a Nick Saban guy, so I'm going to give the credit to Saban.
Yeah. Right.
But that's just how I see it. I'm excited, but I'm also, it sucks watching a bunch of good talented players that were big pieces for us last year hit the transfer portal, and then we had like a 5-star quarterback hit out. We lost some recruits. But that's bound to happen. Some people do want the Nick Saban effect. Right. But Caleb Downs going to Ohio State, that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah. It's the end of an era for sure. With him leaving, I still believe that the Alabama brand is strong enough that they are not going to have some sort of rapid decline within the program. I think that what they've built there, and with NIL, the just the financial piece of it, I think that they're going to be able to bring in lots of talent, plentiful amounts of talent, and they're still going to be really good. But it is sad to see such a prominent and successful coach within any sport or any coaching field step down. But he won about as much as you can win and did about as well as you can as a college football head coach. So an end of the era there at Alabama. I don't know much about DeBoer, but I, like you said, do not envy his position following up the GOAT, obviously. So tough situation there for him, but I think that they're going to be just fine.
The pressure's on, though. Like, you can't lose to LSU and Tennessee, and there's just in Auburn. You can't lose those games.
The pressure really is on at that point, because if you start doing bad, then people are like, "Oh, it's you," because we were just doing well. Yeah, if he is he could be a one and done. Honestly, if they're underwhelming next year, we could see them move on from him quickly.
I don't see that happening, but because I do think he's a good coach.
Yeah.
I mean, look at his stops along the way. Yeah, I know it's not as big time as Alabama, but he's had really good stops and has done a lot
Yeah.
in the places he's gone. I mean, what he did with Washington this year was very impressive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the guy knows how to
Washington
coach.
was a straight up for a long time not a good program at all, and he brought them to the very top. So
Hold on, it wasn't just him. The coach before them got them to where they were, and he carried it on
to the peak, though, which is what you got to do at Alabama. So
it's true. Get you in that spot with big time players.
no doubt. All right, so there's a little bit of the breakdown of Mike Vrabel and Nick Saban moving on. So let's go ahead and jump right into our Wildcard Weekend recap. Let's go ahead and recap Wildcard Weekend a little bit before we do our predictions for Divisional Weekend.
Because we don't want to talk about our actual predictions for the bracket challenge that you can also still join on ESPN. Just saying. But
I should probably do that.
oh yeah, that's right. My own one of the co-hosts of the podcast
Literally filled out my entire bracket and tried to join, and then it didn't let me, which it may have been a saving grace because the Dallas Cowboys obviously lost in the first round to the Green Bay Packers, and that's who I had winning the Super Bowl. So maybe technology just saved me some embarrassment there, but it is what it is. All right, Houston Texans defeated the Cleveland Browns 45-14. This is, other than the Packers game, this may have been the most surprising final score game, how it went, in my opinion. The Houston Texans just dominated one of the best defenses in the NFL, and they look absolutely legit. I know that they're playing the Ravens this week. I was trying to find a little bit of a score update. 3-0 right now. We're recording this as they are playing. But Texans 45-14 on the Cleveland Browns. CJ Stroud becomes the youngest QB to win a playoff game, starting out his what looks to be a very successful NFL career out with a playoff win. He just keeps getting better and better, DJ. It's hard to deny his excellence at this point. If you were a CJ Stroud hater coming into the draft or at any point in the season, you kind of just have to take an L at this point because he is absolutely balling out against some of the best competition. I mean, the Browns defense throughout the years, at least statistically, was the number one defense in the NFL. And he put up I think one of them was a pick six, maybe two pick sixes, but I don't really care because he thoroughly dominated that defense passing the ball. And I mean, look out. We are seeing a quarterback that it is not understating to say could be regarded as a competitor for Patrick Mahomes' his best QB in the league in the next few years. I'm not ready to say he's there yet, but from what I've seen from him so far, he's getting there for sure. What was your takeaway from this game, DJ?
I mean, from the start, not saying that I was right, but from the start, I did say that I said that CJ Stroud is my favorite quarterback coming out of this draft class. Not saying I'm right because there's still a lot of football left to do. His career's not near over. It's just the beginning, obviously. The Texans as a whole, I feel like they've done a really good job of putting the pieces together and being very patient. Went and got two guys that they really wanted, and Will Anderson and CJ Stroud, who I think are both game-changing players, game-changing rookies. They're going to be very good for a long time, I feel like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that CJ's having the success he did. Now, the way that they dominated the Browns is completely shocking, especially on the defensive side of the ball for the Texans. I thought it was going to be a little bit of a shootout because it was going to have to be, especially because I really did think that the Texans' offense was going to hit some hiccups, especially with Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball. But man, that offensive line for the Texans really just held it down. A lot of credit to that young offensive line. I mean, don't get me wrong, Larry Tunsil's still a very good left tackle. They paid him a lot of money for a reason. So, it's just it's why we put the games. It's why we love football. You really don't know what's going to happen. Unless you're betting on it, then you know exactly what it means because you just look at trends and you're like, oh, this team's going to win. And if your name's Mike Jordan, then you obviously know what's going to happen.
Exactly. For sure. All right, moving on to the next game. Chiefs beat the Dolphins 26-7. One of my bets or one of my bets of the week was the Dolphins. So this game was kind of a surprise to me. But right whenever I saw the beginning of the game and I saw how just uncomfortable the Dolphins looked in that cold weather. I mean, this was one of the coldest games of all time for the NFL. I mean, Patrick Mahomes' helmet was cracking because he got hit in the helmet and it was so cold.
Beer was freezing.
Andy Reid's mustache had icicles hanging down from it. So extremely cold. The Dolphins looked like it bothered them. They looked like they were not prepared for it, and the Chiefs obviously are very accustomed to it. So,
you want to tell them the story about what the Dolphins did the week prior practicing?
Yeah, so the Dolphins set their AC in their practice facility, their indoor practice facility, to a chilly 50 degrees on the old AC thermostat in preparation for their game, which their game was negative degrees. So I don't think that helped them out very much.
No,
Clearly,
not at all.
because they lost by 19 points. It did not. But yeah, not much of a takeaway from this game other than the Dolphins in those conditions just looked completely outmatched.
100% agree with what you're saying. That is, it's just not. I mean, let's be honest here. I felt like this
in the playoffs is just different gravy too.
Well, but also like you just got to give the Dolphins are just not good in the postseason, and also the backslide of their season. The late pretty much after the Titans game, they just weren't the same team, and I don't really understand what happened. I guess Tyreek kind of got a little banged up, and I feel like it made them just realize like, oh crap, without this one player, we're screwed. Plus, I don't think Tua is good in cold weather situations, which means they're never going to win a Super Bowl because they're never going to have the 1 seed in the AFC. I don't feel like so. It's just like, all right, well.
Not. I mean, just a complete collapse for Miami. They lost to the Ravens to lose the 1 seed, then they lose to the Bills in the next week to lose the 2 seed, and then get demoted to the 6, and then they lose the following week to lose out of the playoffs. So just a complete collapse from the Miami Dolphins.
I mean, not only did they get beat by the Ravens, they got handled. Like, it was not close.
Yeah, they did. Moving right along, first game on Sunday, the Green Bay Packers beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Beat the brakes off them.
48-32. The final score ended up being a lot closer than the game actually was. It was 42, I think, to like 17 at one point. 48-17, something like that. They destroyed them. I mean, Romeo Doubs was running literally uncovered in the secondary. I don't see how Dan Quinn is getting as much attention as a head coaching job as he is, because this defense just looked bad and unprepared for this
lethargic
game. And the Packers played like they had nothing to lose because they did. I mean, nobody expected them to win that game, and they just came out there and they played free, and they absolutely destroyed the Dallas Cowboys. There's nothing more to it than that. I mean, Mike McCarthy apparently is keeping his job, which I was surprised by. I thought he would be let go.
I have a fun stat for you on that, by the way.
The first home loss the entire season for the Cowboys was that game. So, I mean, they looked unprepared.
A fun stat for you here. The last time Jerry Jones has fired a head coach was 2002. Every other head coach that he has let go has been just because his contract has run up. So Mike McCarthy has 1 more year left. So if Mike McCarthy doesn't get the job done this next year, he will be gone because Jerry Jones he doesn't want to pay people not to do anything. So Mike McCarthy will be here for another year. He is just, you just show that he's not as good of a head coach as people used to think that he was when he was in Green Bay, or I never did think he was that good to begin with.
Won a Super Bowl on the coattails of Aaron Rodgers.
And a really good defense. And some really good receivers, honestly. That, like I was saying, that defense looked a little lethargic. Not the same defense we've seen all year coming out of Dallas right there. it looked like that they weren't prepared to do anything that to win this game, and it looked like Green Bay, which I had to give credit to Matt LaFleur for having a great game plan coaching. He got his team ready, and they were ready to go into Dallas and pull that game off. And a lot of love to Jordan Love, because the guy played out of his mind as well. So credit where credit is due.
Yep. The Packers are looking like they are rolling right now.
Also, what a fun young receiving core that the Packers have with a young quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean,
all those three dudes that are just like studs, like Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, and Romeo Doubs.
And I'd also throw in Wicks in there too.
Yeah, Wicks is also really good.
Yeah, he's young.
4 young receivers that can just go out there and ball out at any time.
So, remember when Aaron Rodgers was complaining about never getting receivers drafted?
Yeah. And they have 2 good young tight ends as well, with Tucker Kraft and what's his name?
I love that guy.
I can't remember the other guy's name.
Luke Musgrave.
Oh, yep, Luke Musgrave. Yep, that's the other one.
I was about to look it up, didn't even need to. The old noggin remembered.
There you go. All right, moving right along. Lions beat the Rams 24-23 as they win their first playoff game in 32 years, beating their old
quarterback.
Their old quarterback in Matthew Stafford. Good job, Lions. Way to go. But they finally got over the hill of winning a playoff game. Honestly, a lot of people were doubting them coming into this game. People were picking the Rams. I know I picked the Rams. People thought there was going to be the same old Detroit Lions come postseason time, and they pulled it out. I mean, they beat what I think is a really good Rams team. I think it was a very impressive win for them, and now they have a home game where they're almost a touchdown favorite to go to the NFC Championship. I mean, could we live in a world, DJ, where the Detroit Lions could make it to the Super Bowl?
We can live in a world where the Detroit Lions make the Super Bowl. I see a lot of people online talk about, the refs help Detroit out a lot. Which, you take that as what you will. I think it was impressive. Nonetheless, it was a good team win. Detroit, the fan base, the city really needed it. As an unbiased person, I didn't really have a dog in a fight. It was just great to see that atmosphere in Detroit. They really haven't had it in any of their sports professional teams in a very long time. I mean, all their teams are kind of been down. So, especially the Pistons right now, but that also missed the show because they're not worth talking about.
They're only worth talking about because of how bad they are.
Exactly. But I mean, you got Dan Campbell has really turned that franchise around. It's great to see. I don't really know that many people that don't like Dan Campbell, because how can you not like a guy who just loves to chew kneecaps?
Exactly, football guy Dan Campbell.
And also that was a sneaky good Rams team. I feel like people kind of slept on them all year, especially with that receiving duo and Nakua and Cup. I mean, you still have to also remember that Aaron Donald is still a freaking beast, and maybe statistically he didn't have as good of a year, but that's because he's getting triple teamed every time. So
constant commanding of the double team.
Have to go through 2 or 3 grown men every play just to get to the quarterback is impressive. That you got the stats that you did.
Yeah, no doubt. Still a baller.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving right along. Bills beat the Steelers 31-17 in Buffalo. Again, not a lot to say about this game. I think that Buffalo is clearly the better team. Beat them by 2 touchdowns. It was a very cold game that got pushed back to Monday. The Bills are taking care of business. They're looking legit come this postseason. I don't really have much to say about that game. I think that the better team won. They handled business. A lot of times you see that in the play with the weekend filled with a couple of surprising games. This one was one of the more went with the way I saw it going.
Credit to the Steelers. Actually kind of coming back a little bit in the game. I think the score is a little. It doesn't show the entire story that they did have a little bit of a run. I think mentally they weren't in the game in the first quarter. I think that they let the crowd get into it too often, and they were inside their heads. And they went out and played football because they're like, well, we don't have anything else to lose. And they started coming back, started playing better. But I think it was too little, too late. That Bills team's just hitting on all cylinders, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And if you just give them the ball on to their defense, then you're just giving that offense, better chances. Obviously, that's how football works. You give the team the ball too many times, they're going to score more, and then they win the game. That's how football works. So, this Bills team has been on fire since the end of the season. So it's not that surprising, like you said. After some big upsets, this one was not. It looked like it could have been. The Steelers had some chances, but that team just does not have a captain to sail the ship that is their offense. And they need to figure out the quarterback position.
Yeah, they need to. They can't be relying on Mason Rudolph going forward. So they got to figure that out. And finally, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeat the Philadelphia Eagles 32-9 in Tampa Bay on Monday night. This was actually one of the upsets that I predicted. I mean, I would say this was surprising because, it's a team that was 10-1. They were in the Super Bowl last year. But, you could really see this coming for this team. They fell apart during the second half of the season. They were 10-1, and then they finished 11-6 and lose in the first round of the playoffs. They have got to see that as a very underwhelming year for them. Some question marks have to be raised within some parts of the organization, whether that be some of their players, the coaching staff. Some people are calling for Nick Sirianni's job. They want him out with the potential that they could be pulling in Belichick in there. So I don't know. This was surprising and not surprising at the same time would be my take on Tampa Bay destroying the Eagles like this.
They were the Dolphins of the NFC side this year. They came out to such a hot start, but I feel like this whole year that they had some fraud games, like that game against the Jets. That whole their defense wasn't as good as I think people thought it was going to be this year. Some of the midseason acquisitions that they made, Darius Leonard never really got the time on the field that we thought he was going to. Kevin Byard didn't tackle that well this year. Now he had some good games and he locked down a tight end, which he's very good at. But there's some tackles that I've seen Kevin Byard make his whole career that he missed. And that's just football, And some teams come out flat, and I do think the Eagles just came out flat. I think we have to give a lot of credit to this Bucs team. A lot of credit to Baker Mayfield only the season he's having. He's kind of revitalized his career, and we got to give him some credit. He helped me in fantasy not be the last pick of the worst team in the league.
Shout out Baker.
So shout out Baker. So he's a great player, and give him credit.
Yep, credit. Bless you. Credit Baker Mayfield. He was one of the lowest paid quarterbacks this season, and I think he's earned himself a pretty decent contract for next year. He will be, I think, brought back by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to run it back next season, no matter what happens the rest of this postseason for the Bucs. But all right, that is our wildcard weekend recap. Let's go ahead and jump right in to our divisional round predictions. So we are about halfway through the Texans and Ravens game at the moment while we're doing our predictions. It is 10-3, 9 minutes left in the second quarter. So let's just go through the games in order, DJ, and just give out who we have in each game. I'll go ahead and go. With the way the score is right now, and this was my feeling about the game before. I had Ravens winning this one pretty easily.
Shocker. Okay.
They're only up by a touchdown right now.
They just scored. So
yeah, I had them. I think that they're just the better team. Lamar is really trying to go out there.
Quickly scored for them.
For the Ravens?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Nelson Aguilar was the answer.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know that.
He knows how to catch the ball.
After he left Philly, yeah.
Apparently. But yeah, I think the Ravens are just a much better team. I think that the Texans have already achieved a lot of the success that they wanted to out of this first season with D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud. And I think that Lamar really has a point to prove to go out there and show that he can actually perform in playoff games. And I think the Texans or the Ravens win this one pretty easily.
On my bracket, I had the Ravens going to the AFC title game, so that's not changing anything. Regardless of the score, I would have said that. I'm gonna sit in my bed, as they say, or whatever the saying is. I don't know. I just completely scratch that up completely. I did also have the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl, so it really doesn't matter what my prediction says. But the Ravens getting an AFC title game I had that, so I'm going to stick with that too. I mean, regardless of what the score is right now, I would have said that at the beginning of the podcast. If I wasn't looking at the score, I'd still say that, even if the Texans were up 17-0.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, moving on to games that haven't started yet. The late game tonight, Packers in San Francisco at the 49ers. 49ers
I don't know about you, but I'm really excited for this game now.
Yeah, me too. I think we got two of the better teams in the NFL, honestly. I mean, I'm really interested to see how this Packers receiving core can do against this great San Francisco defense. That's the matchup I'm really interested in, is seeing if the Packers are able to move the ball.
Is that offensive line going to be able to hold up long enough to get Jordan Love the time to look at and make the right decisions? That too.
I feel confident the 49ers are going to be able to move the ball on the Packers. The game is going to come down to if the Packers can move the ball as well on the 49ers. But that to say, I've got 49ers winning this one pretty easily. A lot of the same. Hey, I mean, they're favored by 10. I think they win by 2 touchdowns. A lot of the same handicap of the Ravens game applies to this. I think that the 49ers are a team that are really just aspiring to Super Bowl-esque goals. I think that the Packers with Jordan Love in his first season have achieved a lot of what they came here to do, but they are dangerous. This is I see it either a 49ers blowout or the Packers could upset them. If the Packers kind of jump out quick like they did on the Cowboys and show that they're here to play, this could be a really tight game. But if the 49ers kind of handle business early, I think it could turn into an ugly game.
I think it all comes down. Well, there's multiple things it comes down to. What we've already kind of hit on one of the things that I think is super important: the line of scrimmage battle between the Packers O line and that Niners defensive O line, D line. I think a lot of it has to do with which Brock Purdy are we getting tonight? Are we getting the one that comes out against Dallas and absolutely just puts up like 41 points with McCaffrey and Debo and George Kittle? Or are we getting the one that struggled against the Ravens, who threw 4 picks? Or are we getting the one that struggled against the Browns? Because don't get me wrong, this Packers defense can get after the quarterback. I mean, Rashawn Gary is a very solid player. They still have Preston Smith. This defense is not anything to sleep on. If Brock Purdy doesn't make the right decisions, this game could get ugly fast going the opposite way. I was going to ask, do you think – so I agree that if the Packers keep it close, Packers have a very good chance to win this game. If not, I definitely see the Niners covering the 10 tonight.
Yeah. Sneak peek to one of my bets of the week. 49ers minus I'm saying at 9.5 on DraftKings, 10 on the ESPN website. So it's around 9.5, 10. But that's one of my little sneak peek to my one of my bets of the week.
There you go. I have the Niners winning this game, though. By the way, if we're making predictions, I have the Niners.
Gotcha. Me as well. All right. Buccaneers. We're jumping to tomorrow, Sunday, January 21st. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling up north to chilly Detroit, even though they play inside, so it won't be that cold. The Lions.
I still can't believe that reporter asked that question. If you don't know, there's a reporter on the Bucs, in one of their midweek interviews where she asked Todd Bowles, So, how are you going to handle those frigid temperatures up in Detroit? He goes, well, they play inside. We play inside, so we're going to be in the cold for like 30 seconds getting off the bus. So we'll be fine.
Yeah, be hard to handle that.
Hard. My nose going to get cold for like 20 seconds. It's going to be. I don't know how I'm going to play the rest of the night.
Yeah. All right, DJ. I'll have you go first on this one. How do you see? What do you have in this game?
I think Bucks cover, but I got Lions winning by a game-winning field goal. But the Lions go to their first NFC title game ever.
Another close one.
Actually, is there? I don't even know if this. Don't even know if it is their first NFC title game, but it might be. I'm saying it is with chest.
I mean, it's their first playoff win in 32 years, so you could be right. I have Detroit winning this game pretty handedly. I don't think it'll be as close as you think. I think that this Detroit crowd is going to be absolutely lit again for this team. I think that they are really like just grasp the identity that Dan Campbell has instilled in this team of just being just hard nosed, win at all costs culture.
Blue collar.
Yeah, they are the blue collar team in the NFL. And I really like this Lions team actually. I think that they're going to win against Tampa Bay pretty easily. I've got them going to the NFC Championship. And then to our final game of the weekend, DJ, Chiefs going up to chilly Buffalo. Probably the best matchup of the weekend, at least the smallest spread of the weekend. So, who do you have in this one?
I'm riding with my prediction. I have the Bills going to the Super Bowl. So I have the Bills finally getting over the hump and beating Patrick Mahomes in his first ever road playoff game, which is crazy to think about. So going to Buffalo, it's going to be tough. I think the Bills Mafia gets behind that team. I think this is their year to try and make an actual chance, and they're also hot right now still. I think this game will be close. I think that spread is about right. I can see it being a 1 to 3 point game. It's going to be close.
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs in this one. I mentioned earlier, I think that Patrick Mahomes in playoff time is just a different beast. I think that this Chiefs team really has the Bills' number. I think that the Bills are the hottest team in the NFL right now, for sure. But I think that the Chiefs really know how to play in the cold. This game is going to be extremely, extremely cold. And I think that
So the Bills don't know how to play in the cold?
I don't see them as a cold weather team. I mean, I know that they play in Buffalo and they play in the cold all the time, but I see the Chiefs as more of a cold weather team than the Bills.
That's because they've had more playoff games at home, so you've seen it more. That's all it is.
Yeah, well, this is also Patrick Mahomes' first road playoff game, as you mentioned, and I think that he really wants to go out there and prove a point that he is not just a front runner, someone who can win the games he's supposed to. They're an underdog in this game. I think that that's really going to motivate the Chiefs, and I think that they got the better coach, the better quarterback. I will take Kansas City in this one.
The real question is Taylor going to show up?
That is the question everybody's asking.
Also, I saw that someone said that Haley Steinfeld should show up to the Bills for the Bills.
Yeah, as I say, they're both dating.
Who's Haley Steinfeld dating for the Bills?
Josh Allen.
Is he dating Haley Steinfeld? I didn't know that.
Yeah, or at least he was. I'm not sure if they are anymore. I mean, I know they were at some point.
Now I kind of hate Josh Allen because Haley Steinfeld's very, very good looking.
Shout out Josh Allen. All right.
Man can pull. He's got some riz.
Yeah, there you go. All right, there's our divisional weekend previews. On to our the most profitable segment in all of sports, the Feelings Over Facts bets of the week. I'll go ahead and go first because I already said one of mine, which was 49ers minus 9.5. I'll just go ahead and list mine because I kind of already went through my reasons behind why I think each of them will win. 49ers minus 9.5 at home versus the Packers. Ravens minus 9.5 at home versus the Texans. And then finally Chiefs plus 3 on the road at Buffalo I think they get it done. Those are my 3 favorite bets of the week. DJ, let's hear yours.
Alrighty, so I did 2 player props and then an actual money line. So I'm going to do money line one first. I have the Bills money line. I'm doubling down on the Bills, winning at home, big playoff game. This is to get them to the AFC title game. This is the games that they need to win to be able to do the things that they always talk about as an organization, and they have the players to do it. And I think that the way that they're playing as a team, offensively and defensively, this is their best chance that they've had out of all these years with Josh Allen. So ride the wave. I have a David Montgomery over 60 yards rushing. I think that he's going to have a big game against a pretty good Buccaneers defense, and not just passing the ball. Let's get the ground game going, control the clock, control this game. That's what I have in my head. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but this is what I have in my head. So let's just go with that. So I got that one. And then I have for tonight's game over 1.5 touchdown passes for Jordan Love. If they're going to do anything tonight, he's got to throw for at least 2 touchdowns. And then maybe hand off to Aaron Jones, and hopefully he has as good of a game as he did last week.
Yeah, they're going to figure out a way to move the ball for sure.
So those are my 3 bets.
I like it. I think we're gonna have a good week in the betting department. All right, let's finish it up with. There we go. Our feelings of the week. I'll go ahead and go first with mine. My feeling of the week, DJ, is this weekend, divisional weekend, is the best football weekend of the year. You got 2 games on Saturday. You have 2 games on Sunday. You've got, theoretically, the 8 best teams in the NFL, 2 each day. It's got to be the best football weekend in the entire year. So I'm going, that's what my feeling of the week is. The divisional round weekend is the best football weekend of the year.
I feel like it's either that or the first week where NFL and college football are on at the same time to start the season. It's one of those 2.
That's it. That's a good shout as well, just because everybody's missing it so much.
Exactly. My feeling of the week, if you haven't watched Dalton Knecht play college basketball for the University of Tennessee, you're missing out on a guy that's absolutely on fire right now. I think he had 2 30-point games back to back. He had 25 today against Alabama and a big old blowout against them. I mean, hey, we're getting near the end of football in general for us. So it's time to start looking at other sports to get into, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot about some college ball, some NBA ball. But right now, if you haven't watched Dalton Knecht play some basketball, man,
we got February, and he's a star for sure. Totally agreed. We got February and March coming right around the corner. That means I'm sure we'll be filling out some brackets here on the Feelings Over Facts podcast, giving out our bracket picks. But I think one of my feelings of the week, maybe a month ago, was that nobody really knows what's happening in college basketball until February, March. Nobody really pays attention to it until football's over. But that is very true. He's a stud. Definitely going to be an NBA guy. But there we go. There's our feelings of the week. All right. Let's go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you for listening to the Feelings Over Facts podcast. If you're not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, head over there and give us a subscribe. Head over to Instagram and TikTok at Feelings Over Facts podcast and give us a follow. We post lots of fun short form content on there. All right. Let's go ahead and do it. From the Feelings Over Facts podcast, I'm your host, Zach Simmons. He's my co-host, Danny Jones, a.k.a. DJ. Good morning and good night.
Tell somebody you love them.